Welcome to Woman Crush Every Day, where we discuss queer media, especially when it's black and especially when it is woman. I'm your host, Tang B, aka Sean B. Scribe.
And I'm your host, Allison, aka Al Woo.
And we have a very special guest on, Aryka Randall.
Woo, woo. What up?
Yeah, so excited to have
for having me.
Yes. Writer, actor, producer. We want to know more. So how would you first like us to address you? Do you have particular pronouns you like us to use?
No, just she, her, fabulous, whatever.
Awesome. We put those in there.
Absolutely.
Yes. So tell us more about you, where are you from, and how did you really get into storytelling?
Yeah, okay. Oh God, I feel like it's so long ago. So I am from San Diego, by way of Louisiana, Texas, I guess mostly Louisiana. I spent the first 18 years of my life in San Diego, and then I moved to the South to Lake Charles, a little bitty town. And I actually developed my film career initially in New Orleans. So I've always been into writing, like short stories or just really any kind of format, but particularly short stories. And I'm like, wait, I don't know how old y'all are. See how old I am, but there was this series that was out that like kind of started the kind of like Black web series boom. I want to say it was called Between Women.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Okay, so you
Loved
know
it.
that.
I was like, yeah, 80s babies, you know.
Okay, all right. So yeah, we're like OGs. So yeah, so so but I kind of wanted to challenge myself to do a web series, just because I was like, well, you know, short story form is cool, but I wonder if we could film this. And that was like 9 years ago, and it just kind of went from there.
That's awesome. And I know that you've done some projects with people who have been involved with Between Women. Tell us about that, what it's like working with other content creators, other queer content creators.
Yeah. I am strange in that way where I like to work with other people. I really kind of thrive in that space, especially when I wear like a producer's hat. So like my friend Dee, we worked together. We had been talking about working together for so many years. Like every time I would see them in Atlanta, they'd be like, we're going to work together. I'm like, all right, yeah, we're going to work together. And then like, you know, life just does its thing. So finally this year, they actually directed The Golden Teacher, and we've literally known each other for like 6 or 7 years for that happen. But yeah, so working with them was great. There have been, let's see, a lot of different actors that I'll work with that have been in different things. So like my friend Ines, she's also been in like Functional, which is a web series like Latinx. And then she's been on like different things on Netflix and things like that. Damaris is like one of my favorite muses, and we all kind of go through this like little circle of creatives in LA where, you know, everyone's like shuffling around the DPs and the actors, and like, so it's been cool. It's been really cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in terms of queer content, like what queer content influenced you coming up? Like, you know, any particular shows, or, you know, I think we kind of talked about Between Women, but I mean, even before that, I guess, like, you know, and maybe it wasn't identifiably queer, because I feel like, you know, growing up, we didn't have, like, well, we know this is queer content out there, but I mean, the shows and things that you're like, you know what, I'm liking this vibe, though. I really want to kind of, like, you know, it inspired you, you know, before we had, like, what we have now.
Oh, wow. So the one thing that really sticks out is this film called But I'm a Cheerleader. That was the first, like, I loved that film. I was watching it when I was not supposed to be, like, I just, you know, But I'm a Cheerleader. And then there's another film called Better Than Chocolate that's really good. God, there's a couple actually. Gosh, I forget what it's called. Nicole Ari Parker's in it. The Adventures of Two Girls in Love.
Oh yeah, Incredible Adventures of Two Girls in Love. Yes,
yeah, it's a good one. So like thinking about all those things, I think made me feel like it's okay to tell those stories. It didn't necessarily in the moment make me feel like I want to get out and share queer stories, because I wasn't I wasn't 100%. I just knew that I liked women, but I wasn't like 100% sure about like what that meant. I just know that I like those stories a lot. Specifically, but I'm a cheerleader. Like that was my shit.
Yes.
Yeah. And then like thinking about it, there was Daria. I feel like looking back on
Ooh,
it, Jade was
man.
very queer. Yeah, and it just,
Yes.
yeah, those are the ones that kind of stick out in my mind the most.
There definitely was a very queer vibe to Daria. And
Oh
actually,
yeah.
that's like the theme song for that is forever stuck in my head. It just comes up, and I'm like, maybe that's like queer background music or
It
something.
is.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like I should sample that or something like make a beat out of that because we would all get it. We would
Yes.
all get it.
Do you have any
Funny.
favorite queer shows right now? Shows, movies, plays, or anything, podcasts, something out there that you're like, oh my gosh, that's giving me life.
You know what? I need to get my whole podcast life together because I don't even like, I'm so bad with podcasts. And I know like everybody, I'm just like, dang, I save them and never listen to them. Oh no, that's a lie. I do like to read. But let's see. So Harlem just came out. I thought it wasn't queer, but it was, there's
Had
a
so we had a little,
Queer Jason.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
was like,
best
okay,
friend role.
yeah. I was like, all right, we can. Although I will say this, I wasn't necessarily a fan of how I feel like she was chalked up to be kind of like a player just because she was masculine of center. And I think maybe you could have like attributed that to just being her personality more than her being like, because even like that whole thing with her and the other masculine center she was dating and they were like battle. I was like, this is
I
awkward.
know. Yeah. I
But
really
I
hope they would come back from that and like try again.
yeah,
But
yeah. But I love the fact that the representation was there though,
yeah.
in general. So I have been meaning to binge 20s, just because I just didn't see the first season, so I just was like, okay, I'm way behind now. Um, but my friend Malachi actually directed, I want to say episode 4 and 5 this season, so that was really
Oh,
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
We did an interview with Crystal, the sound yogi, who knows Malachi and spoke so highly. So that's like, yeah,
Yes.
Malachi must
that
be the jam,
Yes.
Malachi's the goat.
Yes.
She's
I
cool
love
and
it.
and she's a nice person. I think that's why everybody usually speaks so highly of her because she's nice. But then she's also so talented. She just did a short film, well, not just like last year with Tabitha Brown called Souls.
Mhm.
You guys should check it out. It's amazing, like super Afrofuturism. It's very cool.
I am here
Ooh,
for it.
yes.
Yeah, she's a big purveyor of queer content and different things like that as well. So but yeah, let's see, 20s Harlem. Gosh, that's really it. I feel like I don't really have time to watch anything. Oh, there's a web series that I like called The Fortnight. I like very like melodramatic things. So
Okay.
it's good. It's about a screenwriter who goes away to like a cabin to just be alone to write, and then her
Ooh.
ex is like renting like the cabin next to her, and it's like they're
Ah,
stuck there
come
together.
on. That's a
Eek.
setup.
Yeah, definitely a setup. So season 2 just came out, and I was watching that, and so I also really really enjoyed She's Gotta Have It. Season 2, I love DeWanda Wise. I'm like, anything she's in, I'm gonna just stare
Yeah.
at the screen. So, but I really love the storyline with her and Opal. I was like, okay.
They did bring it
Mhm.
back. They
Mhm.
brought it back because after season one, I was like, come on, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
So, uh,
yeah. It felt like
awesome.
Opal was the only one that she actually liked too, like for the most part. I was like, interesting. But
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
understand why.
yeah,
Yes.
most definitely.
um so let's go ahead and get into the golden teacher. Tell us what inspired this work.
So for one, people were kind of asking why I didn't do like more drama. And I'm like, well, I just like to have fun. So that's why, but um last year well, I guess earlier this year, kind of, I went through this little like window of time where I was kind of experimenting with psychedelics, with like shrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I had taken them a handful of times. Everything was fine. There's one particular time, I don't know what the problem was, or what was in those shrooms, but I just went through like this roller coaster of emotions. And it was like I took them like it wasn't even I didn't even take like a lot. I took like one and I was like in my room in the middle of the day. And I'm like, I'm gonna make something cool, you know.
Yeah.
It did not happen like that. Like I ended up like crying in the shower, like sliding down the shower by the end of the day. I was like, what is the problem? It was
Oh,
it was so bad. I was like, what did I do? Like
Bad trip. Bad
yes.
it
trip.
was bad. It was so bad. I was like, what is the problem? So I was like, I went through, I called one of my friends and had probably this spacey ass conversation, which God bless her, she just allowed me to have. Um, and
Thank
then
you.
like,
Shout out those friends. Shout out those friends.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
On
yeah.
the
She's
Shout
like,
out
line.
those friends.
exactly. She's like, come as you are. It's fine. I'm like, I'm high, so I'm here, whatever. And I went through like I journaled and like I went through like my whole like dating pattern. And by the end of it, like I came to this epiphany about my dating pattern and why I had been dating emotionally unavailable people. And it was like really like profound. And I was just like, wow. And then, like with shrooms, like once it's over, it's over. You just go back to normal. So I was just like, huh. But my DP Rose, we had met the year before, so like when the pandemic first started, and we never connected. So we finally met up for the first time, and she's a total stranger. And I'm just like telling her, I was like, man, this weird thing happened the other day, and I'm telling her, and she's just looking at me, and I was like, we should do like a short film about it. And she was like, okay, and it's literally just went from there.
Boom.
That's how the magic happens.
I love it when you just speak something and then it's able to take off and turn into something and
Hmm.
like yeah, that's so beautiful. That's dope.
Yeah,
That's
that's
dope.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Do you,
like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just gonna
no,
say
go ahead. Go ahead.
like getting it from the point of us having a conversation to like me actually sitting down and writing it, I obviously brought a lot more depth into it as I was like writing it. And it's not like exactly what happened to me. It's like I would say it's about 20% of what I experienced, 20 or 30%. But um yeah, I don't think that idea would have never popped in my head just like organically.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Makes me think about the times that, I've dabbled, you know what I mean? and I haven't had anything like too bad happen at this point, but now I'm like, I don't know if I want to meet the golden teacher, maybe, maybe I want to chill out. I don't know. All right.
Definitely. I feel like I appreciate how you get into where you start in your life and where you are before you partake in your trip can really drive where things are gonna go. Once you kind of knew like, okay, I want to write this film, and you knew you were gonna tell a particular story, did you have a story that you wanted to tell at this particular time, like for any particular reason?
Mm, no, but I did see it as an opportunity to talk about like ego death and like
Mhm.
just I guess talking more about healing and like loving yourself, loving like your inner child. So I was able to go deep, whereas in comedy I don't go deep like that at all. So I went like real deep. I was like, all right, we're going to talk about, because essentially, like I said, once I like kind of actually worked through it, at first it was just like, I just want to show this person, I just want to show what happens if you trip and it takes you on like a roller coaster. And then once I started writing it, I was like, okay, I want to show, like, it seems like this person's ego is getting kind of like broken down. And with that happening, they're learning something about themselves. So let's go that route. Um, so that's just more or less how it came about. But yeah, typically I just kind of like to skim the surface of things. And I always like have a way of like, some type of little anecdotal story, like, message or something that I want people to take away. But people's responses have been just mind blowing. Like at the screening in LA, people like a few people like cried, and people were just like, wow, this just feels like therapy. It was very triggering. How even the relationship, that whole sequence was not about the relationship. It was about both of them like being unhealed, if you will. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like on this piece, you as writer, producer, yeah, how was that when in the shooting of it to give the project, to somebody else to direct and watch that happen? How does that feel as a writer and producer?
Well, it's like a double-edged sword. So it's so funny because directors always get like most of the credit. Um, but as a producer, I can keep the most power because I can say, no, we need to keep we want it, we're trying to keep this vision, so this has to be done like this.
Mm.
Like we can't, Dee was really great with directing the talent. I don't enjoy directing talent. I'm not that strong with it. I enjoy like directing a camera. Um, so I like to pass that off to other people, and I like to give other people an opportunity to direct. But I don't really feel any kind of way about it, like giving it away. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, who wants to come direct this? I don't want to direct this,
You're like, I want it
You
done. That's
chilling,
what I
right?
want.
Yeah, I want to get it done. I'm good at, because the director, I feel like a lot of their control comes in on set, making choices, and sometimes like in the editing process. But on indie stuff, it's like, we have our rehearsals, and they may or may not talk to the DP about a shot list, but it's a little bit different. So um they're able to come in and kind of do what they want without us losing the whole like vision completely.
Yeah.
So I don't mind.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite moment from the Golden Teacher or a favorite moment from the production, just being on set? A favorite thing to make come to life?
Hmm. I don't have a favorite moment like from set specifically, but I just really enjoyed getting the ball rolling, like, and having it executed completely. Because like I was saying, like, even like the directors, actors, everybody kind of gets dropped in like at the end. So I always feel really good about, like, it's always just cool to look back at the whole process of, dang, me and Rose had a meeting, and then we had our Zoom, and then we cast, and then we, and now it's done, and now we're screening. And sometimes I'll like go back and look at my Instagram, like, we made this post 6 months ago. Like, we're moving very fast, so it's cool. Um, my favorite part, I have two from the film. One is the last monologue where Koi is like in front of a mirror and they're talking about like, who am I? And then it goes off into being outside. And the other is the Anita Baker sequence. I don't know why. I have loved Anita Baker since I was like, my mom watched it and she was like, you loved Anita Baker since you were like 2. I was like, I know.
No, that was definitely, I'm like,
Favorite,
yes,
yes.
when Anita came on, we gotta dance on this one.
Yeah, I feel like, especially also like as a Black filmmaker, like I always find subtle ways to add things in. Um, so on the web series last year we did called LA Influencer Handbook, it was in the middle of like all the riots and everything going on. And we were in Long Beach filming, and there was this random like uh march of protest that went by, and my camera guy just like took off so he could get it. So we like added some of that in there, and it was they were talking about Black women specifically,
Oh,
and the
Right.
girl was like on the megaphone and she was just going in. Like, I was like, wow, this was like serendipity. And then so even in Golden Teacher, I was like, this is an opportunity for me to make it very Black, and I'm going to. So
oh
like,
yes.
what song would make a Black person like happier than just randomly hearing Anita Baker when you're in a funk is just kind of, you know.
Yes.
Yes, that intro is
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, sweet love. What? Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is it like now, taking the film on the festival circuit?
It's boring, honestly. Like, I'm in jail. I'm just like, so I can't show anyone else. Like, I don't want to do any more screenings because I just don't. I'm like, we'll have done 3, as of this upcoming Saturday. Um, I thought about doing one like in the Bay Area, but we'll see. But I'm just like, it's just boring because I'm just waiting. I
Yeah.
don't know what's gonna happen. Who knows?
Well, I think folks who watch the show and like the fact that we highlight queer, content creators and filmmakers and producers, and folks who don't know about that process, like the process of submitting and how you get your work out there. I think, knowing that you've done this and you've, done it a few times over, can you kind of share with our audience
Yeah,
that, process for folks who are interested in getting their work out there?
yeah, absolutely. So there's a really amazing platform called Film Freeway that we use. And basically what happens is you upload like your film, your poster for it, your little bio, cast, crew, their credits, whatever. And then from there, you literally just go through and select. I usually filter it by like what's open, and then so it organizes everything by their deadlines. So it'll usually put at the top like whoever has their early bird deadline. One thing I'll tell any filmmakers that are putting their things in film festivals, like the earlier the better. Like legitimately, you can get in a festival for $20 or you can pay $150. It depends on how long you waited to enter. You know. Also, not
Take
casting a
note,
huge
remember.
net.
Right. Save
Yes,
your
no,
coins.
it is so crucial. And if you know that you're going to be entering in a lot of them, spend the $10 a month and go with the Film Freeway Gold because it's going to reduce the price of everything like immensely.
Nice.
I haven't done that yet because I always just hit the early deadline, but it's something that I have thought about. Um, Another thing is like casting a net that's too big the first go round. When I think about how much money I spent, it makes me want to just puke. I'm just like, I just was just like, oh yeah, because somebody or some video or something probably said just submit to everyone because you never know. No, you do know, and some people are just not going to pick your stuff. Don't even waste your money or your time. So people will be like, well, statistically, like that's fine, but when you take the time, look on their pictures. If you have this black ass film and there's all white people and it's in Portland, well, why are you going to submit there? They're
Yeah.
probably not going to understand. So I like to look for like queer festivals, black festivals, um, the really big ones like Tribeca and Sundance. There's a certain expectation of the quality of your film that they're very hard to get into. The Miseducation of Cameron Post is a really good queer film. Chloe, I think her name Morowitz is like the lead, and it's actually, to me, it's a more serious, dark, adapted version of But I'm a Cheerleader. So when I saw it, that it won like the Sundance Grand Jury like 2 or 3 years ago. Or even okay, for example, like Moonlight, I think was at Sundance or Tribeca. That's
Yeah.
the quality of film that you have to get into those. So as fun as it is to submit, like that's another one's like, don't even waste your time if you know that it doesn't look like that, because that's literally what it has to look like. There are films that are ready to go on Netflix like the next day if they needed it to. So with that being said, look locally, they have like certain ones that are specifically for shorts. They have certain ones that are specifically for queer films. There's so many. They have like drama shorts, comedy short competitions. There's a ton.
Dope.
Yes.
That's game. That's
Really,
game. Those
people
gems
need to
are
know.
appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there are some that are Academy Award qualifying, and Canadian awards. You just have to know which ones, and it says on there. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome.
So, Film Freeway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Filmfreeway.com. Yep.
Yes.
Nice.
So has there been anything that you've learned as a producer that you would share with people who are thinking about trying to create their own content or trying to gather and work with a team of people? What was it like establishing your network that you work with?
Okay. Okay. Let me see. This is like a multi. Has so many answers. So many things came to my head. So the first two things that I've learned and would pass off to other people are, number one, stop writing scripts with a bunch of just craziness in it that you cannot afford to produce. Because so many people will be like, hey, I'm a screenwriter and I want to produce this. There's like car chase sequences. Somebody's getting blown up. I'm like, do you have this kind of money for a production? What did I miss? Because now we're looking at you having to wait to get greenlit and you don't have a literary agent. So this is going to be hard. This is going to be,
Yeah.
very hard. So just being like realistic and pragmatic, because even for like certain productions, they don't realize that, oh, well, these are the actors you want. Well, those are all SAG actors, which means not now it's union project, which means now, because we're in the age of COVID, you have to have a COVID compliance officer. That's a lot of money. Like people have no idea. I'm like, just get the thing made. Like it doesn't need, I think we spent $1,500 for Golden Teacher.
Nice.
A
Great.
season of LA Influencer was like 6 G's. Like it's not that, and that was like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of money, but when you think about it, you can ask, I don't know, 4 or 5 of your friends for $100. Meet, whatever, like just get it done, and people overproduce. It's their first thing, and they're like, I'm gonna need a set, an art department, I need wardrobe, and I'm like, you need to get your budget together because this ain't gonna happen. So people just have to be realistic. The second thing is networking, which definitely plays into your question about like how to build your team. But the thing about building a team is people don't want to work with you until they've seen that you've done something, even if it sucks, at least if they know that you can get it made. So you have to do like something. You can literally like shoot it on your iPhone if you need to. It's not. Did y'all see Awkward Black Girl before it was Insecure?
Absolutely. Yes. And loved it. Was
Me
willing
too.
to tune in because she did the work. I was like, the writing's good. The production is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm entertained. I'm coming back.
Totally.
When we were back, and she got the crowdfunding she needed, and everything happened the way that it needed to, but she got it out there. That was the point. She got it out there. She didn't wait for, I need wardrobe and I need this. I'm like, this is your first production. What are you talking about? It's not how that works.
Yeah.
So just being realistic, when you're a creative person and you don't get to see your things coming to fruition, it kills you a little bit. So people have to creatives have to be realistic about the business side of things too. It's not like always natural, but it's so important to know. And then if you don't know, then you need to have somebody in your corner that you can trust that can tell you,
Yeah, that's so important. So important when it comes to making films, because I think, I studied film when I was an undergrad, and that was one of those really tough realizations that you kind of come into, where it's like, if I don't have the money to produce this, the art is one thing, but I want to be an artist and pay attention to that. But at the end of the day, does the money make sense? Does it make sense to produce this work? And how do I make it sustainable? So, no, that's so real. So real.
All the bars.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm still paying off a credit card from a bad choice I made years ago from production. So I'm like, no, I know, I tell people all the time, plus you don't need a lot to make a film. Like from a technical aspect, you need a camera, you need sound, you need actors and good lighting. Everything else you can figure out.
Yeah.
But that's what I just named, like 5 people. I mean, you can literally skeleton crew all day if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facts.
You're welcome.
So back to the Golden Teacher. Why do you want people to see this film? What do you want them to kind of take away?
That's a great question. I honestly, initially, I just kind of wanted them to just enjoy an interesting piece of work. Because we all were very vulnerable. To me, me and Damas were joking, they were like, this is the most vulnerable I've ever been on screen. And I was like, really? Because now people are going to know that I have feelings, as a writer. I was like, this is terrible. I was like, oh. And then even with the way that our DP did everything, Rose, she did some things that made her vulnerable, some of the shots that she chose and going like handheld and stuff like that. So I would like to convey a sense of vulnerability, I guess, through everything, through the story that was told. And I just really want people to turn inward, even if it's just for like a minute, and think about, number one, how they've healed, but also how they've been a problem. You know? Because how can you really heal until you've acknowledged when you've been problematic or have some room for growth in certain places, right? So I hope that it's triggering to people in a good way.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
Oh man, we need more of that.
Right?
We need more self-reflection.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My mom's so funny. She calls me and she goes, I watched it and Damaris just seems so interesting. Mind you, she knows who Damaris is. She's like, Damaris just seems so interesting. And she's like, but also, it seems like the person who was writing it must have been going through something. I was like, what?
Oh, moms, no, they be knowing. Like, okay, can you not?
Yeah, right. And I was like, okay, Kyra. So whatever, I hope it makes people feel something for a second,
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, speaking about your mom, I feel like that's something that's really important in representation in the LGBT community, because not everybody has, like a good relationship, with, parents like that. So, I don't know. I would, if you would be interested or, comfortable speaking to like your, family relations and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah. My mom has always been really supportive. When we were in San Diego, I actually, like, when I was a kid, so cliche, these type of stories. Now, I always think that people are just making this shit up, but now I'm like, no, it probably was actually kind of true. I was curious as to how people got into the TV. So she was like, she was trying to explain to me, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, are they like, I was like 4, 5 at the time. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I mean, are they behind the TV? Are they in the TV? Like, what's happening? And she's like, do you want to get on the TV? And I was like, I don't know, like, sure. And I ended up with a print modeling career, not even on TV, but just print modeling for like,
nice.
Yeah, for like a minute. So I've always been in or around the industry. That experience is actually a little bit of what inspired me to do this LA Influencer Handbook web series, because LA is so ridiculous, and it has always been like that. And it was like that when I was a kid. Like, people would come up to me and I was like 6, not even my mom standing wherever, and they'd be like, so who's your agent? Who are you? I'm 6. What do I know? Like, my favorite color. What do you mean? But she's always been very, very supportive. So like, she's so funny. Like, she'll like send me money when we're filming, or, my mom had she spent most of her 20s in San Francisco. And honestly, I think that that's like a big reason why she's just kind of like whatever to everything, because she was working with trans people way before we were having open discussions and being, affirming trans people. I mean, my mom's like 62, so she's been out here like with the shits, like hanging with her. And she used to always tell me, yeah, my favorite clubs to go to in the Castro, because all the men, they wouldn't hit on me, we just hang out, da 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 da. She's always just been very, very open. So I don't know. I guess I'm blessed. I'm happy that she accepts my queerness, but then I'm even more happy that she accepts my creativity. I'm like, the queer thing, she would have just had to figure out. But I'm like, the creativity, I could not have taken her being like, you need to just go do this, or you need to like, that would have been horrible. So yeah, it's interesting. And then I don't have much of a relationship with my dad, but strangely enough, I have 2 half sisters, and all of us are creative. So he got some good stuff going on with him, kind of.
So great.
Yeah. I'm like, he's a mess. But my younger sister, Chelsea, she's a classically trained pianist. She's won tons of awards. She's amazing. And then my older sister, Delilah, she's an actress and a producer. So, and she SAG. So it's just very, we're all like that.
That's great. So what are the like Thanksgiving dinner conversations like? Are you all talking about all the creative things you're doing, and do you all get together?
No, not really, because for a while, me and my mom were in the South, and then everybody else was here. And because I'm back in San Diego now, but for a while, her and I were the only ones in Louisiana because she was just like, "Look, I'm not paying this rent anymore," and then we moved. So it was like every now and then, but the conversations. Let's see, we were together in Daly City not too long ago, and it was just—it's always very random. It's very random, and then there'll be like Chelsea could score this and da da da. And then my older sister's calling me for like, let's film this. I bought some land. Let's film here. I'm just like, okay, this is a lot. It's like overload. But it's pretty cool. It's cool.
Fire.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, when did you start filming for The Golden Teacher, and did you run into any complications because of the pandemic?
No. Let's see. We filmed it the weekend of September 11th. Over one day. It was supposed to be 2 days originally, but then something happened with our DP and it was like a 14-hour day. It was long as hell. Um, but no problems.
That was
Nice.
great.
Shut up.
No. I mean, you know what? When I was writing it, because it was in the middle of the pandemic, I was like, we're gonna have three people in this movie.
Yeah.
It was very like easy. I was like, it's gonna be easy to execute. So
Just write it to the conditions you're in. That's what you were talking
Mhm.
about. Like, what are you working with? And go with
yep,
that.
and that's it. And that's it. And it's so interesting because if you'll notice, the big players like Netflix, everything was on hold until it wasn't, and then they put like Malcolm and Marie out, and people are like, "Oh, it's just Zendaya and this guy," and I'm like, "Yeah, because COVID.
Yeah.
That's why they did that. This is
Yeah.
not, but that's smart. It's very smart." Or
Hmm.
even like the little holiday ones that they did. There was like three people and two extras in the diner. I want to say it was like that was smart.
Yes.
You know, because they're testing people like every 72 hours, and that's expensive.
It is. It is.
Yes.
I definitely know. I have to coordinate testing for some folk
See,
now, and it is.
I'm like, who?
Whew.
I'm like, who has COVID money on a set? Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah.
Real.
Are they giving out grants for creative people to cover COVID cost?
No, but somebody should.
Somebody should.
Yeah. And
Somebody
like,
should.
where is that? That's
If I find it, I'll send it
Yeah,
your way.
yeah. Please do. I'm like, okay, I see what you did there. Yeah, because
Yes.
that's. I mean, there was a couple things that we wanted to do where I was like, well, I want to make these union, and I don't have COVID compliance money right now. They're gonna come shut everything down on set, messing with me. I was like, no, I don't have. I don't have the capacity to test somebody every 72 hours for 3 or 4 months or however long it would take to film. Not right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Ugh.
just put it on pause.
Yes, yes. Well, what else do you have on the horizon? What else goals do you kind of have creatively that you see coming forth?
Yeah. So right now I'm producing a short film. We don't have a name for it yet. It's called Untitled. But it's about these friends that get together. They're all like girlfriends from college, and they get together for National Psychic Day because one of their friends is a psychic. And as they do that, kind of all of their skeletons come out, and it
Ooh,
causes like a little conflict. So
okay.
that's fun. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is like comedy and drama, which I like. Um, we just wrapped the outline for LA Influencer Handbook season 2. So that's
Nice.
um yeah, I'm excited. God, it took us so long to do the outlines. It was kind of on me, but I'm just excited to get that ball rolling again. Um, we have two short films next year. One is called The Staycation. Um, it's a horror comedy, and it's about some girls that get trafficked out of an Airbnb. I'm always like, when I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, so yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it is funny, contrary to how it sounds, but it's a little dark humor.
We're gonna trust you on that
Yes.
one. Okay. This is like, okay, she said it's funny.
I swear it's funny. It's funny. Yeah, it's very unexpected ending. And then there's another one, two actually. One is called the meet cute, and it's about just a very random meet cute that happens between two queer women. And then lastly, there's a pilot that I've been wanting to do. It was one of those things that got pushed because of COVID. But it's called Love is a Joke. And it's about this masculine of center presenting woman who's a comedian, and her best friend gets her to go on a different date with a woman for, I think, a week. Yeah, every day for a week for like writing material. So that's why it's called Love is a Joke.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah.
Like so much fun.
Yes. So you are creating a lot of content, and so much of it is centering queer women, especially queer women of color. It's really beautiful to see. Why is it important for you to create content around centering people of queer identities, and yeah, what kinds of stories do you think still need to be told?
Yeah. I think it's important to tell stories with queer people at the forefront that aren't just about their sexuality, or just about like traumatizing things happening to them. Um, just kind of people living and just doing things. Um, and then also to see like BIPOC people and queer Black women and queer people, um, non-binary people, trans people, like on screen kind of being represented in a way that's organic. And I feel like the best people to do that are queer people, you know? I mean,
Yes.
because we live it every day. Like, my life is, excuse my language, is kind of a shit show. And it's not because it's in a good way. It's like, God, it's just so much writing material, but it's like, it's not because I'm gay. Stuff just happens because it happens, you
Mhm.
know? But I'm gay. So it's like, okay, well, there's that too, you know? But when I first really started appreciating queer content for what it was, you know, the L Word was like my main go-to, was like the original one. And although I loved it, there was just a lack of Blackness specifically, you know, or if there was, it was a day player, or, you know, Bet's character, who there was conversations about how she didn't even really identify with her Blackness that much. Um, I mean, Pam Grier was, that was kind of the pinnacle for Blackness on there. And I was like, well, she's not a main character. So I just felt like it was important to tell those stories, and then in a way where there's quality, because we deserve quality. It shouldn't always just be, oh, I'm gonna just watch this because it's here. No, like it needs to be good. So, you know, being able to create those spaces. And my main reason for doing so much stuff is, as especially as a producer, I'm able to give people opportunities, whether they're queer actors, whether they're just Black actors, whether they're, you know, directors, whatever. Like I can hire other people and put them on. So again, hiring the right people to help make those stories and tell them, it's just very important to me.
Yes.
So dope.
Yes.
Um, so I feel like we have to ask this question in terms of just one of our consistent, constant questions. Who is your woman crush?
Oh
Do
my
you have
god.
a woman crush right now? And now, it doesn't
It's
have to
not
be
romantic.
romantic. You know, that's not necessarily the question. I mean, unless you want to, you know, shout somebody out, that special someone, that's on you. You know what I
No
mean?
problem.
But yeah, somebody who you feel like, hey, I really admire this person. I really admire the work that they're doing, and whoop de whoop. So, who is your woman crush?
Oh my gosh. I'm like, turns red. God, that's a good question. You know what? I would have to say probably my friend Malachi. Cause
Okay.
she's
Yes.
bomb. She's bomb. I'm just like, okay. You know, like the first the first project that we work on together was like a commercial project in Houston. And just watching her, like how she has her nonprofit, Made in Her Image. She's like, not only is she doing a lot, like a lot. She's always just going. But then she makes time to work with kids. She gives back to her hometown in Phoenix. Like she's just very, very proactive. She's humble. Um, and she's just very inspiring. She's the GOAT. Like her stuff is so good. Like I always tell her, I'm like, I'm gonna hire you when I can afford your daily rate. She's always like, no, I'll do it. And I'm like, no, but that's not the point. We have to pay people correctly, So she's just a good person.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. Shout out Malachi.
Yes.
I'm gonna say this though on the record. I am single. I don't have any baggage. I ain't got no exes bothering me. I got my eye on one or two people in real life, but they don't know. So I'm gonna just keep watching them just to see.
Okay. I don't know if this might be the right time to shout your Instagram out. Get in touch with you.
How do we get in touch with you?
My personal Instagram is APR Loves.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
Great. This has been really fun. We're really excited for more people to see the Golden Teacher, keep the conversation going, and especially for your work that's coming out. We definitely have to have you back to talk about the LA Influencer Handbook. We got to talk. Season 2 is going to come, so we definitely got to talk about that.
Yes,
is there anything that you want to leave people with that they should be checking out right now, that they can access for your work that you've already done?
Yeah, LA Influencer Handbook is on YouTube. My show 30 was on Amazon, but apparently they've decided to delete all of the streaming video of demand service that's like not.
Oh no!
Yeah, look at y'all's face.
We're in the middle of it, so that's not even right. Damn.
I'm just like, I went to it the other day and I was on the phone with a friend of mine who's a filmmaker, and she was like, damn, mine is gone too. It was just the both of us were on the phone like, y'all could have sent an email. So if you go on there, it just says like, watch the trailer. So I'm re-uploading it to YouTube right now.
Wow.
I'm like, who we got?
Right. We need to complain.
Yeah, they sent like this email about not doing any more of their streaming service for like indie creators, but they didn't say anything.
Wow.
So yeah, I was like, okay. So I just captioned everything
to the platform. You're just gonna bring my whole audience here, and then wow.
And then, so that's been interesting. But yeah, LA Influencer is there. I'm getting ready to do a little like just for funsies with my granddad because he's 95. Just a little like, it's called 95 and Counting with him and his homegirl Irene. They were both married for like over 70 years, and both of their partners passed recently. So it's been interesting watching them like navigate that and mourning that, but then just being that old in general is just interesting talking to them. So but yeah, if you just use P Productions, there's also the first show I ever did called Girl Play. It's
Own
the
it.
first show.
No, I'll say that's a part of the journey. That's a part of the journey.
I appreciate everything that came out, in that like early 2010s to 2017 range. I watched it all and I loved it because I was like, everybody's just out here trying to put work out, and we didn't have it anywhere else.
Yep.
And people were doing it out of their own pockets. So
it was a good time. We had Girl Play and Studville and Sky's the Limit and all these other ones. Yeah, that was a good time.
Yes.
Yeah. And I also just want to say thank y'all for creating this space and holding space for Black creatives and queer women, and because it's I don't know. I feel like a lot of times when people are reviewing things and talking about things, it's just very surface level, and I just appreciate how you guys have just covered all bases, and you obviously care about your audience. So thank you for that, for holding space for the weird film kids. So
we love it. We care about the content, so I'm like, if people are telling good stories, we want to make good conversation out of it. So keep making your stuff. We love it.
Yeah, it's important to keep this conversation going, and it's so important to us. And thank you for the work that you do, and for making time to talk to us today, and all of that. We're definitely going to be in touch. So we'll have all your socials and all that stuff in, the descriptions and all that good stuff.
You know what I forgot to tell y'all? a show you
No.
guys, or a movie you guys might want to do a review on is called Single Mother by Choice.
Okay.
And not the lead, but directly opposite of her is my friend Brittany Hall, and she's an actress, and she's queer in real life, but she's queer on there too.
Okay.
Gotta
Hey.
check it
Okay.
out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes,
We
single by
always love
choice.
a good plug on what to watch and what's out there, because we try to catch, so many things, but there's always,
It's
there's
a
something
lot.
that slips through the cracks.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Add it to our break binge list.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, we just want to peace out and, sign off.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll catch you next time.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
No doubt. All right.